Hey, hardworking Christian mom, welcome to the Victorious Working Mom. Do you want more time and less mom guilt? Do you find yourself up late at night, searching time, productivity, and life hacks? Do you wake up with big ambitious goals only to feel like you're dropping the ball or missing the important stuff when life happens and everyone needs you again? Hey, I'm Dr. Naka. I too was trying to do all the things at home and work and burning out. I too felt overworked and underappreciated and wished to hide or escape and get a much needed break. I wanted to be present at home, productive at work, and be calm and rested, but I kept telling myself this is what it is to be a working mom and I had to suck it up and deal. Until I found God's power to be present and set priorities. In this podcast, you will find time, space, and support so that you will be less busy, less cranky, and less lonely. So get comfy in your hiding place from your kids and let's grow, glow, and go. All right. Hello, lovely. This is Dr. Neka, and you're listening to the Victorious Working Moms podcast, where we use God's power to be present and set priorities. And on today, we're going to talk about some priorities that some of us, this is coming up pretty soon. Some of us, we got a while. But either way, I think it will relate. As Christian professional women, we are concerned about the education of our children. And this is something that usually a lot of us, just don't mind my co-hosts in the background, a lot of us are silently worried about it or publicly worried about it. But we said we cast our cares on and we get other believers to help us out. So today we have both. We get to talk about education of our children, strategy, resources for our, especially for our daughters, Christian young ladies and women in our lives, and some that are not parents. So please welcome my podcast of progress sister in Christ, Kara Walker, who is our special guest on today. It's going to break it down like fraction about scholarships, college, or so y'all want to get your pen and paper. Hurry up, pause it, get that pen and paper because you're going to need it. All right, Kara, please introduce yourself.
Hello. First, I want to say hi to Neka. She's always been like that burst of energy in our like little podcast support group. She's in the Blue Pod. I feel like we need to have some fight song behind the Blue Pod, like it's a school. Anyways, but I think Neka's work is so important because I like how one of our mentors, Stephanie, mentioned that God created us to do good works. And sometimes in each of our lives, that's a variety mixture of professional work, family work, service to the kingdom work, and all the things. And even if you maybe don't work outside the home, even though I know that's what this podcast is focused towards, we're all doing the good work. So it's great to connect. Yeah, I'm Kara. I graduated from college debt-free. That's a big starting thing that I talk about regarding my podcast. So I just really briefly, I didn't know what I wanted to study. So I figured if I can do this and not have anything to pay back, then at least I won't be too concerned if I change majors. And after college, because I didn't have any loans, I just started a business helping students find scholarships. And I didn't even realize I was starting a podcast till 6 months ago. It all happened. And God connected me to Neka and whatever else. And I have a podcast called Money and Mental Peace, where I help Christian college girls graduate from college debt-free using scholarships and school hacks. That's just a vague word, school hacks. There's like free classes, cheap textbooks, ideas of just all sorts of things to do. So that's what I am up to. And I love connecting with you, Neka, and your co-hosts, your background co-hosts.
Thank you so much, Kara. Yes, money and mental peace. And tell a friend, it's an awesome resource that we all can use. Okay, my co-host Philip is this because some people say I got little kids, but
I'm waving at him, but he can't hear me.
All right, so this is real mama life. Yes, the concerns that we have about our children, their education, and I know being a physician, you're here to talk about the financial space, the 529, the tax accounts, and all that. And you might feel like, yeah, I'm ready for that, and then not everybody is because a lot of us are in debt ourselves. So we're struggling to face our own debt burden, especially if you went to you have advanced degrees or it's not paid for. And then you're tracing children because a lot of us, we may have had children later in life. So you're like, wow, I'm going to die with this. No, don't die with you. And then you don't have to, it's very empowering, the idea of money and mental peace, because for some people, money and mental peace don't go together. And this sounds very different than for some of us in the Christian world that are familiar with, say, Dave Ramsey and Financial Peace University. What really inspired that difference for you to say, you know what? One, we got to dive into how you really get to college debt free. And then two, why you felt like you needed to carve out a different space specifically for college girls.
Sure. I think it totally starts with mindset, and I'll explain mine, but also throw this out for your listeners. Totally. Let's go to the Bible first, right? That's our food, our bread and butter or meat and milk and whatever. God talks about, is it Paul that wrote it? Not having the love of money, but it doesn't say money is bad. It says the love of money over worshiping God. So let's just clarify that there's a difference there. Money can help us serve the king and better the kingdom and just enjoy it. Yeah, I was actually homeschooled in high school, and for one of my math classes, I did like personal finance, and it went through Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. So yes, I do support that. And I was like, what? I could become a millionaire. Just start investing early, no debt. And that's not like a bad, rich people are bad. If you are a millionaire and you steward your money so well to enjoy it and support the kingdom, what amazing opportunity. So that inspired me first off. And so I did go into college with the mindset, how do I do this debt free? And let me first validate everyone out there. A lot of people aren't ever even shown that this is possible. I am not coming on here saying I hate people who have debt or student loans or whatever. I'm just introducing a concept that could be possible for your kids. And I'm sure you guys have done great in how you decided to go through college and following through with God's guidance. Prayerfully hope you guys are. But I just want to throw out, I went into college like this. People that go into marriage saying divorce isn't an option. So we're just going to figure it out. There are some stipulations of major unfaithfulness, but let's just talk about divorce. It's not going to be an option. So for me, the student loans weren't just even an option, just especially because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just like, let's just try the next best thing and figure out what to do next. So basically, it just wasn't an option to me. So I just had to figure out other things. So that's what it started with me on it. And my parents, I believe, handle money well, but I don't think they're quite as extreme as me in my ideas and running after this sort of thing. It just lights me up. I'm a nerd about it. So that's why I wanted to do it. It took me a bit longer to finish debt free. Who cares? I was 25 years old with no debt. And I started investing in a Roth IRA and started a business both the month after I graduated from college. I think the first step is that mindset piece. I'm not sure exactly what angle you want me to go into this, NECA, but I think the first step, talking with any moms about how to have this idea come for their kids, what's your mindset around it? I work with college students, and this is like my job, and I am here to tell you college is entirely unnecessary. What? Like what? I didn't say it's not important. I didn't say that at all. It can be very important, very helpful, very awesome, but it's not necessary in the sense of just throwing your kid off to do that and didn't even consider what God is guiding them to do, if perhaps it's a trade school or entrepreneurial or whatever. I think there's just a mindset of it, and a mindset of not being slave to the lender and just pursuing whatever your student can do within God's guidance, also with financial stewardship. That's the word.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much. Real life interruption, but I really had to jot down a lot of the points, and also want to read a little bit of Kara's receipts. She definitely has a strong background, not just because she was able to graduate from college debt free, which is a feat in this day and age, but also work in this industry. And I just wanted to, for those who are taking notes, that the fact of it brings up points about college isn't a must. And I like the fact that you said that she wasn't sure or very indecisive, because as a parent, a lot of times we feel like our children's education is a extension of our parenting, and we want those bragging rights. You know what I mean? I know having immigrant parents, they want back bragging rights. It's like, I came to the United States, so you ought to be somebody. So it's like, I'm Nigerian, it's lawyer, doctor, engineer. So guess what option I was given? The doctor. If you like to read, go do this. And you just say, yes, ma'am. You don't question it. So whether you wanted to study art history, you're going to biology pre-med it is. And that's what it was. It worked out for me. But I think in letting God, let it be faith, we're here to nurture our child and what God has them to be. And I know a gas for probably a lot of women are highly educated or listen to this. Your children, not all your kids need to go to college. It may not be what if they start in tech school, or what if they go to community college? If you want that bragging right of Harvard or else in immigrant populations, I want to brag that I didn't go to Harvard, by the way, but you want to brag. So we got to let go of setting the priority. The priority is what is in the best interest of our child. What did God speak into our child? And trusting God that money is meant to help the kingdom. It's not meant for the bragging rights. Also, how we support our children. Because what I hear you say, Kara, is that the college education and finance of this isn't just on the parents. The student has a lot that they can do and a lot you did. Because she didn't say that her parents had the money to just put it all, or they had a 529 set aside. Also, I hear that you say let go of the judgment. There's a lot of story. Now you speaking to me now. Okay, I'm supposed to be just receiving it again. A lot of judgment we have about, did I save enough for them to go? Can I afford them to go to the best school out there? Are they going to be quote unquote limited to private, to say schools if you think your child is college ready? Because a lot of what we pick where we live and stuff like that is set against this. And then motivation of our children and the mindset. What do you think, in addition of saying college isn't a must, but the motivation and mindset to first partner with the Holy Spirit and involve our children? Because I think a lot of parents take this on as it's their sole responsibility, but your podcast and coaching really centers it more on the student. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to combine a few of those answers, if that's okay. Sure. And I will throw out there, let's say, I just want to encourage those parents out there. Let's say you've saved nothing for your parents' or your kids' college. They can still do this. Okay. My parents helped me so much, but how they helped me was I lived at home. And that was so much support emotionally and like food and whatever else. But I pretty much paid for my own college, and I still was able to graduate debt free. And I don't mean to say that in a very bragging way. Like literally, I can lay out for you the things I did that are open to so many people. And let me reiterate, a lot of the stuff I did are open to people without some humongous GPA. I think grades are super important, and it's great to have a good GPA, but this can be done. Debt-free college can be done without the highest GPA and without having anything saved as of right now. And so if you have anything saved and if your kid does have some good grades, you are already ahead, even if you don't know it. I just want to throw that out there. But I think I just explained all of that and forgot what your question was, Nneka. I think I wanted to respond back. Did you say about how the parents can like include the kids in like the next steps? I think that's what you asked.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people think, yes, if I want to book that service, and they're thinking what they want for their kids. But as your children get, it's one thing for me to think about college savings for my 3-year-old, but as my oldest is about to turn 10, I got a couple of years. As they get older, they got to get more involved in the process. So I'm really, and please, definitely want to give you time to talk about your coaching services. It centers more on the individual student. And I think that's a big transition as a parent, that the student can share some of the motivation, responsibility in pursuing debt-free college.
Mm-hmm. I think there are two angles to this. There's more of an abstract and mindset, and then actual tactical things. When your kids are younger, like 3, whatever, or even 10 is is still on the younger side in the realm of things, or at least single digits, yes, there are 529 plans, things you can plan ahead. Absolutely. But I think also at that age, I'm going to throw this out there real quick. I hope nobody is too convicted, or maybe they should be, but like, kids soak up what they see, and they soak up what they see often even more than what they're told. So like, parents, whoever's listening out there, do you handle your money? I'm sorry, but that's usually the first step, because they're seeing if you're stressed about money or about debt, or if you have credit cards, if you're paying your credit cards down, if and this doesn't mean you have to go on amazing vacations all the time, just if there's peace around it, they will understand that money doesn't have to be stressful and can be handled well. So I just want to throw that abstract thing out there, but that's not.
Wow, Kara, the Holy Spirit is using you on today. Okay. No, it's a good thing. It is a good thing, and it's very aligned with Victoria's Working Mom, because if we don't talk about these things, it does stir in silence. And a lot of us, that shame factor. I'm trying to save for their retirement, and then you're sandwiched in and trying to save for retirement, pay off your own debt, and then save for your children. So letting go of some of that guilt and angst, and then you put your pressure on, they have to be in the elite sports, they have to be in the best of everything. And that's not bad, but when you say what it starts with us, we model what we want our kids to be. A lot of us are going into debt for dance and sports teams, because this is not just YMCA or church leagues. This is stuff that these kids are 10 years old and they're traveling the world or the country for baseball, softball. Like, it's intense. It's dance and cheerleading is super expensive. So you're trying to be a supportive parent and manage everything. A lot of us don't got it like that. And I meant to say don't got it like that on purpose, because we're trying to sometimes keep up with the Joneses, or we want to give our kids the best shot, and we are strapped. And a lot of us are overspending. We're getting ourselves in the credit card debt for the activities for the kids. And some things you can be written off, but not everything. And it's a stressor for a lot of us. We don't even sit and eat dinner together as a family because we're ripping and running to all these activities. Or we're working extra. So add a co-parenting situation, or single parent situation, or adoptive parent situation, or you're the faithful aunt that's helping out. It really gets intense, and it's even more intense for this generation than I think for others, the expectation. So, Kara, you're speaking to those things that people worry about and may not be bringing to God, and just looking at the world and doing stuff. So the mindset of what did God tell you to do about it? What is the best? What do your child or children really need? And what's realistic? And that we have opportunity to look at our own thoughts about money. And if it's not peaceful for us, it's not going to be peaceful for our kid.
Ooh, I like how you said that. Yeah. What if your kid is going off to amazing opportunities in camps and sports camps? I'm not saying don't do that. That is fantastic. But what if they're peaceful inside? And I know in this world we will have trouble. I'm not saying people are peaceful all the time, but I would say maybe there's a general angst about it, versus being able to maybe do a little less with some extracurriculars and actually look your kid in the eye and have conversations and seek the Lord together. And I did want to throw out something that hopefully would release some of the pressure on the parents listening. I'm going to have to look at what the age range is. I'm not sure the 3-year-old would be super into it, but 10-year-old, yes. Dave Ramsey has a board game for families that is on like whoever can pay off their debt the fastest wins. And it's like Monopoly or the Game of Life. You go around and different things happen to you. You lose your job or something happens. And it's funny, but it's for real. It's a way that you can play a game with your kids and actually teach them about money, instead of just, we're going to listen to this TED Talk that goes over their head or something like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And I'm not like an affiliate with him. I don't get any sort of commission to suggest this. I'm a dork. I asked for the board game when I was like 26 for Christmas. That's one way to throw out there on any age range that you could support your kids in that way. And I did, Nneka, how you mentioned all these things at once. You want to send your kids to college. but you want to pay down your own debt, but you want to save for retirement, but this, that, and the other thing. Yes, it's stressful. I want to throw this out there. You will be retiring or have the need to retire at some point or desire whatever. Your kid may or may not go to college. That does not mean you're like putting yourself over your kid to the point. What I'm trying to say is your kid is able to still graduate debt free, because I can tell you how. I'm not just trying to plug this. I'm just saying I'm a living example of it without having saved a ton for your kids. And I would rather my parents save more and more for their retirement, because I knew, well, not right away, but I figured out how to graduate college and I can tell other people how to do it. I'd rather parents can pay down their own debt, save for retirement, help their kids through it, not just give them the money, but like partner with them, hold hands with them, walk through college together, finding scholarships. Then let's say you're 60, 70 and you are set. What if you're set for life? What if your kids still have maybe a little bit of student loan debt? Maybe you'll gift them $5,000 to pay it off and you can move on. You're going to retire. Your kid might or may not go to college. I just want to throw that out there. So those are two thoughts I had.
Oh, Kara, it's so important to keep things in perspective, that it's like it's the circle of life. It's like we want to set our kids up for a good future, and we don't want education to just be bragging rights, but become another burden. All fingers aren't equal. Everybody comes from different backgrounds. And unfortunately, a lot of us, our education is the debt that's saddling us and affecting our financial future. So helping to break that cycle, having a more open mind. We don't have to be a slave to debt. We can have strategy about it. So I feel like this is where you make Christianity practical. That it's not just, I'm going to pray about it, get in a prayer circle about it, worry about it. You can speak in tongues, you can do all that, but real strategy and real resources in real time. And I think that's what Kara offers. It's not a magic wand, but I think the more that we get faith-led in our understanding of that we're part of a kingdom, and it's not an earthly one, so we don't have to do what the world does. Our children don't have to operate the way it goes in the world. And you're doing this as part of jumpstarting our children and our financial. All right, we got a little singing in the background. Happy singing. Just to encourage us that it's not too late. God can do. Just start with intention and involve our kids. And we try to educate ourselves about finances. And we set the tone for how our children see finances. And that these are decisions that can really benefit us in our latter years and give our children a good start into adulthood. And I really like the point you made, the support your parents give, like, again, letting go of the judgment. Everybody doesn't have to go to Ivy League school. Every kid doesn't have to live in the dorm. You might be able to support your kids by staying at home. And it may not be as what everybody's off to the dorm, this, that, and the other, be it living in a sorority house or what have you. That may not be everybody's need. And for some kids, it's overwhelming. And think about with the pandemic, so many parents spend so much money for their kids to be in a dorm, and they're in their dorm room doing online classes. It would be a lot cheaper for them to just stay in their bedroom and save you a lot of money in transit and worry. So college is going to get more and more expensive. And it may not even guarantee the jobs that your children are going to get coming out. So we really need to be open-minded. Don't worry about the bragging rights. Worry about what is the best vote. And it's nothing wrong with home cooked meals. There's nothing wrong with going to school closer to home. There's nothing wrong if using those AP classes to get credit. Like, just talk about all the possibilities, that it doesn't have to be 4.0 or else, to take some of that pressure off, which really would save some money. And yes, so and especially immigrant parents listening to this, please listen to this over. Like, your children do not have to be the product of your American dream if they do a liberal art, if they don't go to college right away, even if they work, it's okay.
Yep. Oh, I love it. I love like the passion that you bring behind it. Yeah. And is it the quote unquote American dream? Sometimes also hard work, that could be a trade, or entrepreneurship, having your own business. I'm not saying now push your kid only to that. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying there's a variety. It's a melting pot. I entirely agree. And those people wondering about Ivy League schools and whatever, I'm sure they would get a great education there. But did you know that a lot of students getting 4-year degrees could get their first 2 years, 1 or 2 years for free? That's a rhetorical question. I know people listening can't answer me. But there are ways to test out of classes. I tested out of half of my associate's degree. That means I studied something on my own, either that or the kids are studying online nowadays. Studied something on my own, took a test for $100, got 3 to 6 college credits. Now, since graduating college, I've learned that there's a company called Modern States that will give a voucher for reimbursement. I have a few friends that have gotten their whole bachelor's degree at a solid accredited university for anywhere from $3,000, $5,000, or $10,000. That's the 4-year degree, not just one semester. There are so many opportunities out there because some like very few, some careers might want to know if you went to Harvard. But most of the time after your first or second job, nobody's looking at on your resume where you went to school. They're just looking at your experience. Just had to throw that out there. There's so many ways to do college for free or just really cheap.
And maybe we need to change the narrative of I was able to get these school hacks and things like that. I guess have college debt free as the new flex versus how much did I spend? How much did I save? And I like that it's not limited to the scholarship. It's the actual courses too, because textbooks and it piles on and on, especially professional school. It got no cheaper. So things like renting books or Amazon, you just have to think outside the box. So just swiping your card in the bookstore, it can be astronomical. And then this is having multiple children. Like I got kids that are close in age, and I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm gonna do right now. I mean, I got 3 kids going on the bus soon to be 4, and in 10 years it's gonna be them going into higher education.
You're at a perfect spot right now with your oldest being 10 to just teach them and have plans and ideas. Like, it's awesome. I know you're like feeling, oh, I'm overwhelmed with it, but like your kid's not even technically a teenager yet. You have so much time.
And she's like a little CFO. I feel like in her that game. I don't know if it's the Girl Scouts or being the oldest or something. I feel like she's so curious about things. How can I start a business and make money? And I think because we're so because we're so stressed out with our own stuff, sometimes the things we actually want to nurture in our kids, we may not always feel like we have the chance to, because we're just trying to get them to the next thing. Okay, I got to get you guys out the door. So don't despise the little things. And I wanted to, if you could speak a little bit about homeschooling. With the pandemic, more families and working families have gotten a taste of the virtual schooling, or some that are professionals are homeschooling their kids. And some of the fears that people have about the homeschooling, I think one, not their time, but also having to navigate college education. Are they going to get recruited for things? Are my kids going to get scholarships? Can you really speak about your experience and how your service also helps bridge that? Because it seems like more families are going to homeschooling.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was homeschooled, so I want to throw that out there. Like, I understand. And if I would have known this ahead of time, I could have done more. So I want to, again, I'm not an affiliate of this person. I don't even know this person, but this lady is an advisor at Excelsior College, which is one of the colleges that accepts almost unlimited transfers of testing out of classes. So she has this website called Homeschooling for College Credit. And basically, I'll explain more, but that's all you need to know. Imagine this. If someone is going into middle school, high school, the student, and they're studying American history, or they just studied biology or a certain math credit or whatever. Okay, maybe they're studying it in their homeschool. Now, let's go take a CLEP test. CLEP stands for College Level Examination Program. Let's pay $100, take a CLEP test. If your kid passes it, maybe that's just like the final exam in your homeschool year or something. They get 3 to 6 college credits. You go to Modern States, they reimburse you. You just got 3 credits for free. There are so many ways to homeschool and then get college credit from that. Your kid could graduate high school in your homeschool and have a year or 2 of college under their belt just because you took a test after what your student learned and got credits. Some people are concerned on like scholarships for homeschoolers. I just want to let you know, it's, at least for me, I don't know all schools and whatever, at least for me and my experience with schools, it has not been too crazy to get scholarships or look for scholarships or apply for a school having been homeschooled. You just gotta, it depends on the state. I did have to have my parents send something in that said I officially graduated high school, and then that was it. But I just want to say, if you're homeschooling, your kid does not have a disadvantage. If anything, they might have an advantage by being able to study stuff and then tie it right into college. And they could go off from homeschooling high school into the main points of their degree they're looking at. I'm going the opposite extreme. I'm not pressuring you to do all this if you're homeschooling. I'm just saying, don't freak out. Homeschooling is just as viable to get into college, pay for college, find scholarships, test out of things, and not only just as viable, but perhaps even more so if someone really wants to try to get a whole bunch done ahead of time. It gives them more time. So is that what you meant regarding homeschool stuff?
Absolutely, because I would think also people, immigrant families, military families, because you have to transition a lot. So for some, the continuity of just let me have my kids at home so there's not so much change, especially people are working more remotely. And some people, for faith-based reasons, they want their children to be nurtured a certain way. Because the gotcha is whether you send your kids to traditional school or they're home, we're all homeschooling. Like they're learning something in your house.
Yeah.
We're just trying to add that skill set and strategy and know that we are not at a disadvantage being in the kingdom. We get to pull from a different set of resources and skill set. We're not made to toil. We're supposed to gather, not lather. We need to be in community because we can get really isolated, and into our fear and anxiety can really isolate us from thinking creatively and seeking resources. And as our kids get older, it's okay for them to partner, even if you have the means to pay for it. We need them to have the mindset to be able to handle it, because these are large investments. You wouldn't want to send your child into a dorm. They don't know how to wash their clothes. They don't know how to manage their spending money or their time. And so every kid is homeschooled. You don't see that at the end of the day.
And in that case, if it's not someone who's quote unquote homeschooled like for their formal education, but everyone homeschooled as in learning things at home, that ties back to how are the parents handling money and even talking about money with their kids? What's the attitude? What games are you playing? Are you even talking with your kids? Hey, if you had $1 million, what would you do? No, that's not an insane question. That gauges their ideas, their hearts, their mind, their passions. And there are ways, if they have no debt and start investing early, they're going to be millionaires. It's not such a far-fetched thing. Start like talking with your kids about just the mindset of money. They don't have to be officially homeschooled to, like you said, be homeschooled. So just my 2 cents.
Kara, you dropped some gems. I'm gonna have to bring you back for have you talk in the Facebook group, because I think it's just an underspoken thing. But also I wanted to give you a chance to really highlight what it's like to work with you, the services you provide, because it's really important for us to, let's support other Christian business and services, because we want a godly influence around our kids. And I think especially you saw in the secular world, people were fudging things to try to get their kids scholarships and in the schools. And we want to do it based on who our kid is, and then how to work with you and what works well with you, because this is an important service that you're offering.
Thank you for asking that. I love to just point people to my podcast because it's like free information. It's wherever you get your podcasts, except Pandora. Pandora has had an interesting contract we haven't figured out to be on there officially yet. I'm not bashing Pandora. I'm just saying you can probably find me anywhere. You did mention, if you're asking specifically on my services, I do have a middleman type service where I find student scholarships. Like I do the research and they have to do the applying, but I can do some of that legwork. And I'm working on creating a course called the Debt-Free College Blueprint to just walk people through it, like hand-holding accountability. I know you had mentioned previously coaching, NECA, and I haven't jumped as full-fledged into that, I think, as you're looking into, because I feel led to more develop this essence of a course at this point. But I would love to just encourage people to listen to the podcast and send me any questions you have. I'd love to answer questions on the podcast too. And let me also plug NECA's information too. She's looking at helping you guys be victorious in working and being a mom and victorious in Christ. So I think hopefully you might like some of the content I've suggested, because I think it is one of the stressors that might be going around in your mind as you're trying to mom. But it's just one thing. So keep listening to her podcast to get all the other encouraged. Yeah, I really loved being on here. I thank you so much for having me. I did want to, again, I am not an affiliate or get any sort of payment on this, but plug Dave Ramsey and his baby steps. That's what encouraged me for this. And how you talked previously about what about paying a mortgage and investing for retirement and paying for kids' college. He really has steps. Like, this is what you ought to be doing first before the next thing, so that I think it relieves some pressure from us. So I would love to encourage you to keep listening to NECA's podcast, be centered in Christ and be encouraged by her. And one of the facets of that is stewardship of money, getting your mindset on that. And feel free to listen to more of my content for like the practicals, and that would be awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much, Kara. Remember, I believe it's 2 Timothy 1:7. I might have got the verse wrong. 1 Timothy 2:7. God has not given us a spirit of, I can't after I finish what I'm saying, baby. God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. And so everything in our journey as parents, as believers, as career, want to have that, we don't want to have that spirit of fear. So college feels like a big thing for us, for children. Want to be spirit-led about it. We want to allow to be in community of believers. We're not trying to do the shady things that people might be tempted to do in the world. And we want to prepare the child we have, not the fantasy child, the child we actually have, and the finances we actually have for the future. And Kara, we're giving that, we really look out for it, and we'll try to have those things in the link. And then it is financial and mental peace.
Money and mental peace.
Money, excuse me. My husband, my son scrolled over my thing. Money and mental peace, because God gives us both. And we want to also transfer that to our children. And Kara, thank you so much for your patience with me at the time. And thank you to my little mini co-hosts, Philip and Vicky. And then this is concluded episode of Victorious Working Mom. God bless.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Victorious Working Mom podcast. If this podcast episode has blessed you, kept you company, please feel free to like, review, and follow, and share with a fellow working mom. You can connect on IG at Victorious Working Mom, on Facebook, NECA Ichoku, DOMPH, and our website, www.victoriousworkingmom.com. Feel free to join the Christian Professional Mom community, and let's continue to grow, glow, and go. Be blessed.